Hello, hello, Fed Phoenix fan. Good evening. So, I made a video earlier, dropping things, and I made mention that I intend to put together a letter to send to my judge, asking to be off probation early. That I'm gonna get on top of that now, because as you know, I've been meaning to for some time. So, I actually got it done today. And of course, this is kind of I will omit as I read it to you a couple of details, like my judge's name. I think certain things are just unnecessary, and just not really even anybody's business. You know what I mean? Not that you can't find out it's public information, but But anyway, but yeah, I got it done. And I'm going to read it to you guys. And then I will also mention what documents I'll be attaching to it when I mail it out. And I'll be getting it mailed out by the end of this week, So, whenever I make a video after it's mailed out, I'll be able to give you a more specific time frame, like, oh, it was mailed out, whatever, Thursday. So that way you can kind of see too, like when I mailed it and then when I actually got a response and that kind of thing, as a point of reference. But it's worth noting that my judge is actually not a full-time judge. He's in his 90s, and he is the longest sitting federal judge in the country. He was appointed by President Ford. And very, very sharp, by the way. I know when you speak of people of a certain age, people assume that there's a lack of or a loss of cognition, but that is not the case at all with my judge. He's very smart, very, very attentive, and which is really a blessing, because I guess if you're a person that is not coming from a good point, it would be a handicap to have a judge that's on top of things. But if you're a person who's being reasonable and who's approaching your judge in regards to matters in which you're in the right, it's a huge blessing to have a judge who is cognizant. So having said that, I'll just hop right into it. So of course, I'll date the top and address it, to the honorable judge. I think I even said his name, didn't I? I was going to omit that for privacy, but clearly, not that big of a deal. So we'll just go there, right? To the Honorable Judge Copenhagen. I hope this letter finds you in the best of health and spirits. I don't know if you remember me. My name is Audrey Thompson. In late 2021, you sentenced me to 24 months incarceration and 12 months probation. Earlier this year, I wrote you while I was still incarcerated at Alderson FPC. I had exhausted admin remedies regarding the warden at that time wrongfully denying me early release on CARES Act, as well as wrongfully deeming me FSA ineligible. I know that you wrote her regarding her position, and I greatly appreciate that. To my understanding, she failed to respond to your inquiry. For that, I apologize, although it was beyond my control. I am writing you now to ask for consideration and release from early release from probation. My probation officer is aware that I'm asking for this and is not opposed to the best of my knowledge. I am asking for this relief on December 29th of 2023. At that point, I'll have successfully completed 9 months, which is the equivalent of 3/4 of my probationary term. I believe this to be fair under the circumstances. Please allow me to elaborate a bit. As you know, I did well on pre-sentence supervision, and while incarcerated, I had 0 disciplinary infractions, participated in programming, and worked for religious services. I don't expect any reward for those things. I did what I was supposed to do, and life does not hand out participation trophies. I only mention these things for context. I believe releasing me from probation early to be the just thing to do on the basis of 2 factors. The first, that I was detained longer than I legally should have been, and second, due to the conditions of my incarceration. In regards to the duration of time I was physically at Alderson FPC, after 6 months, I should have been sent home on early release through CARES Act to complete my sentence on home confinement as I met all criteria. I was not due to the warden at that time, because there's a different warden now, but at that time, having a personal prejudice against inmates with drug charges and blatantly refusing to sign off on it. I discovered this shortly before I completed that first 6 months, at which time the warden also had the prison staff change my FSA earning status to ineligible. Although I was determined eligible by Grand Prairie, Texas at the beginning of my incarceration, with just my good time and FSA credits I earned, I should have been sent home on home confinement November of last year. My children's birthdays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's of 2022 should have been spent with my family. With just my good time in FSA, I maxed out straight home from prison January of 2023. I've included my final computation sheet to prove these timeframes as accurate. Thankfully, an administrator at Alderson agreed discreetly to have someone at Regional take a look at my file. They did and fixed my file to reflect that I was FSA eligible. At that point, I was an immediate release. My comp sheet shows this as well. Of course, I wrote out computation. My computation sheet shows this as well. This was late March of this year. In regards to the conditions of my incarceration at Alderson FPC, during my time there, at no point was there a doctor on staff for the entire 16 months. And although my PSI noted my various psychological and chronic physical conditions, not even minimal care or accommodation was given. I brought with me to Alderson a medication list from my pharmacy and a note from my primary care physician, both disregarded. The periodic spine and knee injections I required to maintain mobility and manage chronic bone and joint issues I was denied access to. So the majority of my incarceration, I was forced to function through excessive constant pain. My thyroid medication is not on the BOP formulary. The substitute offered I have adverse reactions to and is not effective for me. So I had to go my entire incarceration without my thyroid meds. At one point, my TSH was over 60. This meant that I was at risk of a condition known as thyroid storm, which would involve organ failure, coma, and possible death. I will attach proof of this TSH level as well. Additionally, no accommodation was given to my hernia condition. I self-surrendered with a minor hernia. I am now requiring a major abdominal surgery repair due to this being grossly exacerbated by the lack of accommodation and care. That once minor hernia is now what is called a giant Spigelian hernia, the hole in my abdomen ripped to over 10 centimeters and requiring mesh. I'm awaiting surgery with a specialist surgeon at a hospital nearby. I say nearby to you instead of the actual. In my letter, I mentioned the actual hospital and its location, but I don't think for privacy purposes I should do that on this video, so bear with me. You may wonder why I would wait until so far into my probation to ask for early release from it, particularly in light of facts mentioned. But I was worried that if I asked too soon, it would seem as though I'm attempting to undermine the courts or my sentence, which I am not. I understand the seriousness of my offense and that it came with consequences. But I believe me continuing to live in a state of punishment, supervision even, to be unjust. I hope that you will give consideration to my points and proof and reach the same conclusion. I look forward to hearing your response and thank you in advance to giving consideration to this matter. Sincerely, Audrey Thompson. So, a few things. With this, so when I send this out to my judge, and I've already mentioned my PO months ago that I was going to do this, but not specifically when, because, I hadn't gotten around to it. When I send this out to my judge, I will definitely shoot my probation officer a text, letting him know, hey, by the way, remember I was considering asking to get off probation early. Just want to give you a heads up. I've sent that letter out to the judge, and you will probably be hearing from him soon. I want to do that so I'm sure my PO has a lot of people to deal with. This way he actually has time to, if he wants to, if he doesn't, off the top of his head, is certain on where he stands, he has time to kind of look over things, so when the judge calls him, he's fully prepared to accurately, give his position. And he's not caught off guard. And also, I'm attaching proof to this note. I'm attaching my final computation sheet, which shows that I was over incarcerated no matter how you cut it for a period of months. I'm attaching proof from my medical records in prison showing the thyroid number being as severe as it was. The lab results while I was incarcerated showing that. Which, fun fact, after that, they're like, we're not taking this test anymore. And by the way, you may go into thyroid storm. So, but I'm also going to attach, what else was I was attaching something else. Oh, I'm going to go on my local hospital's medical records, right? And I had a CT scan done of my hernia through an affiliate doctor prior to my incarceration when it'd be nothing. And I had one done about a week ago, now that it is a monster of a situation. And I think I may, I'm kind of debating how much of my privacy, because, when you've been to prison, when you're incarcerated, you have zero privacy, none. And so when you come home, anything that feels like a breach of privacy or things where you have an option to have more privacy or less, you really feel a need to just kind of almost like mama bear instinctively protect your privacy, right? Because it's been stripped from you for a period of time in the most indignant of ways. But, I think that my journey benefits others for me to be transparent and open, particularly with the Fed Phoenix situation, whether it be my YouTube channels or the book I'm writing. And because I believe that good is beneficial, is significant, I choose to sacrifice a good bit of my privacy, that I normally wouldn't. Normally, I'm actually a rather private person. But I'm kind of debating if I want to attach with this letter, kind of a before incarceration and after CT scan results, to show the dramatic, situation, for what it is. I don't know. Do you guys think that's overkill? Do you think it's too much, or do you think I should just go ahead and put it out there? I don't know. Because I don't want the judge at the same time to feel like I'm overwhelming him with all these documents, like I'm standing in front of him screaming, this is what I want and I want it now. I want it, my approach and my demeanor to appear accurately humble. And not entitled. It's a fine line, whether you're at your plea hearing, whether you're giving elocution at your sentencing, whether you're asking to be let off probation early or whatever. When you present yourself to the courts in any way, physically and writing, over the phone, video, whatever, you really have to balance asserting yourself and being very clear and very direct, but also making sure that you maintain, your humility, that you are being humble, that you're being respectful. You have to maintain that. You don't ever want to come across as entitled or arrogant or whatever, because nobody likes that. No, but kids don't like that out of grown folks, And a person in a position like a judge, a federal judge, doesn't have to put up with anything he doesn't like from me or from you or from anybody as far as attitude or demeanor goes. And you don't want your interactions with the judge to be particularly memorably unpleasant for him. That's just foolish. That's just ridiculous. So yeah, so I'm hesitating too to attach the CT results before and after prison. Just because I don't want it to seem like I'm over providing all this evidence that what I'm saying is true and accurate, to the point that it may come across as though I'm demanding something or acting entitled. Because at the end of the day, any decision in this regard is solely at my judge's discretion. And even if he were to deny it, I'd be on paper a few more months. And I'm just grateful that, as my letter mentions, when I was incarcerated, he did, attempt to intercede on my behalf. I'm grateful that I do have a judge who is notoriously very, very sharp and very fair, and I would be grateful that he at least took the time perhaps to read this and look over the evidence that I'm presenting. um and just, it is what it is, you know what I mean? But I hope that I can put this behind me. I hope that the judge grants it. I hope that I reach that point in my life where getting pulled over in a random traffic stop doesn't make my stomach drop and my mind isn't racing with the thought of, oh my gosh, any minor nothing here could easily lead to my probation officer putting me in the regional jail for a month or 2 months or 3 months. And that's, the stress that you live under while on probation. If while you're on federal probation, you have to understand that for every day of your time you didn't serve, whether it was good time you earned, FSA credits you earned, as long as you're on probation, you can still be made to serve that time day for day. And typically they don't say, you got to go do your last 8 months, go back to prison, or you have to, unless you're someone who's habitually kind of messing up. But you get a speeding ticket or whatever. Your PO may say, "Oh, well, you're not taking the laws seriously. You must feel yourself superior. So we're going to go ahead and let you, that 8 months you didn't serve because of your good time and your FSA, we're just going to go ahead and put you in regional for a couple of those months. You can go ahead and serve those now." Which, if you're a working person, this certainly would mean you lose your job. If you're a person who has dependents, where would that leave them? We all pay rent and bills. What happens with your home, especially if you're a single parent, if you're just gone, nothing's taken care of, nothing's paid, nothing's done for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months. It's a devastating thing to consider. And as long as I continue to be on probation, I know that even the smallest infraction as a citizen, right? Minor speeding ticket, or, littering ticket, or whatever. Anything. Maybe, and I'm blessed to have a PO that is respectful and considerate and just gives me my space because he knows I ain't doing nothing I shouldn't be. But not everyone's that fortunate, right? So for a lot of people on federal probation, it's a much more high stress situation than it is for me, because I know that most likely my probation officer would not lock me up over anything minor or that wasn't the result of a conscious decision on my behalf. But getting off probation would mean that the possibility of that, right? The worry of that would be removed from my life. I'll still be a felon. I'll still be someone who, whenever the locals, because people here like to Google each other, it's a kind of a small town America thing. Whenever I have dealings with the locals, personal, professional, whatever, and they kind of want to do the whole "who are you" thing, their go-to is going to be to run my name through Google. And what they're going to find is not going to be something that paints me in a positive light. And these are things that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. I will never have back my gun rights. There are countries I will never be able to visit because I'm a federal felon. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on of the consequence that will never end for me. The permanent life changes that, although I've done my time, although I've paid my debt to society per se, or given them their pound of flesh, the consequence the felon disenfranchisement, which I actually have a whole video on that. But the disenfranchisement as a felon will continue for the rest of my life. So asking to be relieved from probation a few months early, in perspective, is really asking to just have a small piece of the compounded stress that I have systematically lived under for an extended period of time to be relieved, to be removed, and be in a better position to move forward, from this. For in whatever way and to whatever extent I can. Because like I said, it's not over because my probation's over. This history of mine, this incarceration, the charge and all that, these things will shadow the rest of my life. They may, affect my children at some point in their lives, particularly as adults. And particularly because we're in small town America, and people tend to look at who you're associated with or who you're related to as defining qualities of who you are and what they can expect from you. So, this doesn't end for me because the probation's over. But it would be a step in the right direction. And it would be a step in providing some just relief from the unjust crap that I've been drugged through. So there's that. Like I said, I need to go, print off some things, make some copies, for the things that I'm attaching, and I'll get it out this week. Probably the next time I post a video, which you guys know, maybe a couple of days or a couple weeks from now, I'll be able to give you an actual time frame of when I send it out and, if I've heard back from the judge and that kind of thing. But definitely, if you do this, inform your probation officer. If you, some people attach reference letters to these kind of things. I'm not doing that. You could get a letter from maybe your therapist saying if they think it's beneficial to the therapeutic process for you to be released from probation or not, if they think there's any risk to the community by you being released or not. Because of course the initial responsibility of the judge in making his decision is to protect the public. And then secondary to that is what is in your best interest as a human being. So you're being a human, and your consideration as an individual is secondary to public safety for these judges. And I'm not knocking that. I'm simply stating it is what it is. So, you definitely, if you do attach any type of reference letters, I would keep it 1 or 2. Make them professional, not friends and family, not your mom, not your spouse, not your child, but colleagues, employers, clients, therapists, maybe your physical doctor, people that in professional capacity can address if their opinion or their belief on if you getting off probation, 1, would pose a threat to the public, and 2, if it would be beneficial to you as an individual to be off. Because those are the 2, I think, main things that are really taken into consideration as well. So I'm gonna stop now because you guys know I can be a bit long-winded. As always, if you like the video, please subscribe. I'm up to almost 90 subscribers, and I know that's nothing to a lot of people. But once I get to 1,000, right? So once I get up to 100, I'm like 10%. I'm 1/10 of the way of the goal, which is to hit at least 1,000. Once I hit 1,000 subscribers, if I meet the other criteria, which is like so many hours of views and blah, 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 then ultimately, one day, perhaps, my channel could become monetized. So I could actually have a fiscal, no matter how modest, a fiscal benefit, a financial benefit from doing this. And do I really think that that's going to happen? Maybe one day. But would it be freaking awesome if it did? Yes, indeed. So please subscribe if you're not currently a subscriber. It costs you nothing. It means the world to me. And if you want to see new content as it drops, hit notifications. All, not custom. Custom means the YouTube algorithm will determine what they think you want to see versus you just seeing new things as they come out. In the description will be a link to my merch line. please show some love, shop small this holiday season, and, get you a Fed Phoenix fam t-shirt, hoodie, hat, coffee mug, whatever. The logo was drawn up by a woman that I did time with, who's also free now and is doing amazing, and I'm so proud of her. Um, so there's really a lot to the Fed Phoenix merch line, from the logo to just what it represents, And yeah. And if you want to donate to the channel, my Cash App and PayPal will be in the description. Um, I'm probably forgetting something. I usually am. And it's like really late at night for me. It's like almost 10 o'clock at night. Oof, my day starts at 6, so in the morning, so but anywho, so all that is all that. And good day, God bless. Whatever you're going through, it is just a slice of your life. If you need to contact me, my email will be in the description as well. So let me know what you guys think. Was the letter okay? Would you add the CT scans or not? Do you think that's overkill? Like, I would much appreciate your feedback. So see y'all later. Good day. God bless.